Stone vet, stone vet, stone vet, stone vet, stone vet, stone vet. The stone vet.
Excited. The weekend's here. Oklahoma's cooling down finally. The weather's super nice, man. You can have the garage door open and not be freezing yet. It's not to the point where you have to have pants on and a blanket with you when you go outside, but it's comfortable enough to where you can wear jeans and a nice hoodie or something where you're not going to sweat too bad or anything, man. I'm super excited you guys are here. I don't know what you guys think. I got a new camera lens. Hopefully this works a little bit better than my other one was good. I'm not going to lie, but I decided to change it up a little bit. Try to give you a better visual of what's going on with where I'm at and stuff like that, man. Like I tell you guys, don't forget to hit that like and share and subscribe button, man. It's because of you guys that I continue growing, that I'm able to keep growing and providing you guys with beneficial information. Like I said, we're always lost. We're always scared. Because we're like, what do I do now? After getting out of service, after doing our time in service, it's like, what do I do now? Some of us go back home. Some of us start life where we got out of service. I mean, look at all the retired people that get out. They stay right by the base. You know what I'm saying? They stay by the base because that's what they know, and they got base access, right? But, I mean, we do get lonely, and we're trying to figure out, what do I do now? How do I get into doing something, man? And my biggest thing right now, ever since starting the STONED VET USMC, is advocating, helping advocate for the federal legalization of cannabis, of a plant. A freaking plant. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor, Rafa 180. Rafa 180 provides you with a 100% medicinal grade, THC free CBD. For you guys like myself that are getting drug tested on a regular basis, no, you can't have no THC, which sucks, you know, because we understand, like I tell you guys, I try to educate you guys on the endocannabinoid system. THC is very beneficial for your endocannabinoid system. But if you're looking for a medicinal grade CBD that's going to work, because a lot of people are like, CBD don't work. CBD don't work. It never worked. I got Chip here. Chip here will tell you straight up. He's had people tell him CBD doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I tell you guys, go check out rafa180.com, providing with all the medicinal grade CBD products on the market. It's the best products on the market, hands down. And like I said, when you go there and you check out the STONED VET USMC, get 15% off your entire purchase, dude, which is a great discount, dude. You can't argue. And holidays are upon us. What better stocking stuffers to give somebody when they're trying to figure it out, right? I'm super excited this Friday, man. I am bringing on a gentleman here. He's not a veteran. He's never, he helps the veteran community, but he's an advocate. He's a massive advocate in what I fight for and what I advocate for is the medicinal benefits of cannabis and natural remedies out there, man. How you doing, Chip? How you doing on this day?
Good, man. Good. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I'm not a vet, but my dad was a vet, and was ended as a colonel in the Marine Corps. So
there you go, another jarhead. Then you already know that.
Hoorah! So I'm familiar, and kind of grew up very much valuing his service and service to our country, and the value of an oath and the value of the Constitution. So
right, absolutely. So you made the smart choice. You're like, I ain't joining the Corps. I saw what it did to my dad. I try to tell my son the same thing. So I want to join the Marines. I said, no, you don't. It's not worth it. Man. You can do so much more. You can be so much better than joining the Marine Corps, But so for you guys that don't know, Chip here, Chip Paul is the founder, right? You're the founder of GNU PHARMA. He started his own medicinal company in regards to natural remedies, natural healings, the things I keep telling you guys about on a regular basis, because you guys know, I know, and the VA just pounds pharmaceuticals down our throat. Oh, you need this? Here, take that. Oh, take that for that. Take that for your back pain, for your head pain, for anxiety, depression, freaking neurological problems, and all kinds of stuff like that. And it sucks, dude, because like I said, a lot of you guys are on between 15 to 30 pills a day, man. I talked to one gentleman. He was telling me he's taking like 10,000 pills a year. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
Like what? And Chip here, he's a very educated man when it comes to the human body and the endocannabinoid system, because his passion is helping people. That's one of the biggest passions he has, is providing natural remedies and natural healing for people in general, not just veterans, but veterans is a massive thing, because As of right now, from my understanding, I had a brother on my show. He actually starts North Star Coaching, which helps veterans when they get out of active duty service try to figure out life after getting out. And he told me this was about 6 months ago. He told me approximately 200,000 people get out of active duty service every year.
Oh,
That's a
wow.
lot. That's a
That's a
lot
lot.
of that's a lot of veterans getting out trying to figure out what do I do now. Like a lot of us we don't know how to start. We're not entrepreneurs. We're not, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going. We're just like, I'm getting out because I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm trying to figure
Well,
something else out.
and something that's getting ready to happen too is we're going to have a lot of active, duty military, probably that don't want to take the jab,
Right?
and will be in the workforce and probably be, having some issues, potentially needing some natural products soon.
No,
You know,
absolutely.
Yeah, you said something that I think that's so important. Most people don't realize. We sort of worship the god of pharma, if you will,
Right.
and have we always done that? No, I mean we've only done that
No.
for the past 100 years, right?
Right.
But it was a real concerted effort. Most people don't know this, but 1900, if you went to see a doctor, that doctor was prescribing you a natural product. There
Right.
really wasn't pharma. And again, did people get healed by natural products? Yeah, absolutely. And there was, a lot of good medicine. In fact, if you're in India or China or, most other places in the world that are non-Westernized, your first step is going to be going to the herbalist, and you're probably never going to ever have to go to a hospital or anything like that.
Right.
Right. So, but we here in the Western world, the Rockefeller Foundation was really sorry, my dogs will
No, you
bark
good.
occasionally. Rockefeller, their dachshunds are crazy. But the Rockefeller Foundation was really the driver, and what they did was they got in all the medical schools, and they basically started educating all the physicians on these new drugs that they were making, of course, and so that was the genesis of pharma. And they literally just demonized natural products. And, so anybody who would prescribe a natural product was a quack, and
Right.
they were very effective, in that whole, basically, by the 40s, I mean, no one was prescribing natural products anymore. So that whole area of medicine is kind of, vanished here in the Western world, but it's coming back, and it needs to come back.
Right.
Because again, where do drugs come from? Natural products, guys. I mean, that's exactly where drugs come from. So if you look at something like, you mentioned the endocannabinoid system. And this is something that, I mean, humbly said, we have a lot of expertise in our company on. And I study a lot on, let's just say. In fact, I was studying deep on it this morning. You know what I was studying? I was studying hibernation.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you've got to wonder, how in the world does that relate to the endocannabinoid system? Well, the endocannabinoid system, it's something that's super old, right? We developed it, as did most life on the planet, in something called, it was when we went from a vertebrate, or an invertebrate, sorry, to a vertebrate. It was, that first guy where we made that evolutionary leap, and it was the first time we had a tail, right? So we were in the ocean, we went from this thing on a rock, and the larva swam to the next rock, and the larva had a tail and a spine. So we had something to control, so we needed a control system. And that is what the endocannabinoid system is. And literally from that guy, almost every bit of life on Earth developed. Everything from it that's not an insect, for the most part, will have an endocannabinoid system, right? And so we don't realize how common this is, first, but we also don't realize that, gosh, a deer has one, a bear has an endocannabinoid system. Well, they're not, they don't use, they can't use Rolf 180, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And they can't, smoke cannabis, right? So how do they mess with this system? Because it's uber important. It's our master regulatory system. So how do they mess with it? Well, you feed this system, believe it or not, from fats.
Oh wow.
From fats, okay? And so that relates to hibernation. Hibernation relates to the most efficient use of fats. So, what fats would you need to consume to have the lowest metabolic rate, to be the most efficient, to be the most healthy? Gosh, hibernation is an interesting place to look for that. And it turns out, there's a lot of cool stuff, there about, what kind of fats a hibernating animal will eat. But it's all about, so how do you feed your endocannabinoid system naturally, if you're a bear or a deer or a fish or a bird or a reptile or whatever? From a triglyceride, okay? And we all know about triglycerides, right? It's kind of a bad word, I think, to most of us. It shouldn't be. It's how you feed your master regulatory system, right? So, but a triglyceride, you can stick 3 types of fats on a triglyceride. And really only one type of fat is super duper important. So you can stick saturated fats on a triglyceride. And the endocannabinoid that comes from that is something called PEA. So one enzyme step on palmitic acid and you make an endocannabinoid called PEA. PEA is super duper important for gut regulation and inflammation. It hits a neuroreceptor called GPR55. It hits a super old neuroreceptor called PPAR alpha that tells our body to process fats, not sugars, and is super important to weight and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Saturated fat, butter.
Right.
Okay? All right. You can stick on another type of fat called monounsaturated fat. That is something called oleic acid. So that comes from olive oil and other things. That breaks down into an endocannabinoid called oleamide. And again, most of us don't hear a lot about PEA or OEA, but those are 2 pretty important endocannabinoids. And what OEA does is it does a variety of things. It's the flip of your main guy, endocannabinoid. But what it does, this is really cool because I think this is really a basic life function. It builds in your spine until you pass out. Builds in your spine until you pass out. Builds in your spine until you pass out. And that looks like a circadian rhythm to me, although it's never been tied to that. Okay, but the third type of fat is, again, it's essential. It's the only type of fat that we've got to eat. You've got to eat this in your diet. Your body can kind of rebuild saturated fat. And it can kind of rebuild monounsaturated fat and glue them back on a triglyceride. But the garbage in, garbage out has to really do with polyunsaturated fatty acids. So omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. And you break down omega-6s into anandamide and 2-AG, which are your main big, endocannabinoid mediators, your big guys, right?
Right.
You also break down omega-6s into prostaglandins, which are kind of your early immune mediators. Omega-3s you break down into lots of immune mediators. So things called escanoids and T cells are, what give you immunity, right? So all that stuff comes from omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. And again, are we eating enough of those? No, we're absolutely not. Yeah. Again, what's a bear eat? Well, they eat a bunch of salmon. Well, what's salmon got? Nice equal ratios of omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids, right?
Right.
And so, again, that kind of tells us something about what we should eat. But isn't that interesting that, this system that we think is kind of a cannabis thing, and, we can certainly manipulate. Cannabis is kind of the magic screwdriver, right, into the endocannabinoid system. It's about the only herb that can hit it all across its full range. What we've done at GNU PHARMA is said, oh, gosh, other herbs can hit it. And let's engineer something, that potentially can hit across the whole range. And so that's kind of what we've done. So we've gone to nature and found CB1 effectors. And it turns out there's a lot of things that, and again, I can't do too much of this because I get into methods of my patent, but there's a lot of things that you can do. I won't do that. Right. But there's a lot of things that you can do at a neuroreceptor. Okay. So again, anandamide normally will hit your CB1 neuroreceptor. And that's how you do work, okay? That's how your body does work. That's how you inflame. That's how you deflame. That's how you upregulate an organ, downregulate an organ. All of that is anandamide hitting CB1. THC duplicates anandamide. Okay. So if you think of engineering wise, or, it just gives your body all this, additional kind of surface area, if you will, to do work. Okay. Now, if you're only using THC and you have an inflammatory disease, guess what?
Right.
It's going to help you inflame.
No, right, and that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand because especially with Oklahoma being a medicinal state, right? We're a medicinal state here in Oklahoma. That's one of the biggest things that a lot of my brothers and sisters suffer from. They're like, "Oh, I want high THC. I want high THC," and you're like, "Wait, no, 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 no." I said, like you said, if you're inflamed, you need to incorporate a good CBD to help with the anti-inflammatory to help regulate the inflammation, like you're saying with THC. Because if you go to the dispensaries around here, they're all like, "Oh, this has like 25% THC. This has 30% THC." I was like, I don't want the THC.
Yeah,
I want something that has that perfect balance between CBD and THC together.
absolutely.
Right now, a lot of people don't grow. Like they don't grow to have CBD in their flower. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them don't.
Yep.
And so you actually have to go and buy hemp flower and THC and blend them yourself. Like you're saying with what New Pharma's doing, you guys are engineering.
Yes.
You're engineering to help with the CB1 receptors. And this is one thing I've talked about on my show plenty of times, is that when I was able to smoke, I would get with Hempire. You're familiar with Hempire Genetics and what they're doing here, right? And so
Absolutely.
I would go with Hempire Genetics and say, "Hey, what kind of flower do you got?" I would take their flower and I go to the dispensary and pick up my THC. Me,
Yep.
I like the head shift. I enjoy a head shift, so I'll use a little bit more THC, but I ensure that I provided enough CBD to THC ratio to help with the inflammation that I'm dealing with, because whatever it is, because that's what a lot of people don't understand. When your anxiety acts up, when your depression acts up, when your body aches, it's all inflammation. Something's inflamed, and you have to treat it, And
Yep.
you being with New Pharma, this is something that you're helping advocate, you help fight and help educate people on. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the thing that we don't realize is, pretty much everything in our diet and environment is trying to kill us.
Right. No, absolutely. Especially the food in America. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how they
it's like,
get you sick. That's how they can make their money. They get you sick.
we might as well be eating effing plastic. Because the sugar that we eat, again, how should our bodies run? Our bodies should run on fat. Again, exactly what I'm telling you is our bodies should run on fat. Well, all the way back to the little C-squirt guy, when we grew a spine, it ran on fat. It didn't run on sugar. I mean, we can run on sugar for a little bit, and we need some sugar to build fat and store fat. But in our diet right now, we have all of this sugar. And so what we do is we run on the sugar, and we do exactly what we should do: store the fat, just like
Absolutely.
a bear, right? And so, that alone is horrible for us. But then you just look at, the value that we have in our processed food, and it's literally like eating plastic. If you go eat at a lot of fast food restaurants with, that fry food, again, you're getting these trans fatty acids that are chemical mediators
Right.
that perform
Actually, I just
action in your.
Yeah, I've got a brother, Chris
Yeah.
Myers. He's out of Florida. He's a physical trainer, is what he is. He's a model and physical and all this. He's all this
Yeah.
big jazz, big guy, right? And that's one of the posts he just made. He just put out there not too long ago. He's talking about Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A. And he's like, the fries alone. Do you understand how bad the fries are itself and what it's doing to your body and the inflammation and getting you sick, and because of the oils and salts and everything that they use in it. And I was like, but they taste so
Horrible.
good, dude.
I just knew McDonald's would have horrible oil, right? So I go investigate their oil, what's in it. And it turns out they've got some, omega-3s in their oil, and that's
wow.
the thing that we're missing in our diet. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then I read about what happens when you heat omega-3s. Yeah, serious. You oxidize them, and they're not poison, but they certainly are not good for you.
Right.
And so that's what happens in the oil when they fry with it. But anyway, the point of the story is again. So if you've got a healthy diet, if you've got a super good healthy diet, you're supplementing or kind of whatever. If you got a super healthy diet and you have something wrong with you and you smoke dabs or kind of a straight THC user, right? it's going to help your body heal, right? So your body, if you're trying to take your body in the right direction, it's going to help your body heal. So it's going to really take your body in kind of that healing direction because you're giving your body all this stuff to help it heal, right? By your diet, okay? But our typical diet right now, you're not, right? So we're going this way. So again, THC only. Okay, only. I'm a THC user. I like THC, but THC only is going to kind of help us go in the wrong way because it's all about what happens at that neuroreceptor and the work that's being done. So the cool thing about a neuroreceptor, are there things in nature that can do the same thing as THC? Yeah. Kava is a really cool herb, kava, and kava has something in it called yanganin. Yanganin, just like THC.
Oh, wow.
Same thing. Yeah. So there's some things in sage that are interesting that don't necessarily directly agonize, but they kind of, get it there at CB1. Lots of herbs will have action at CB1. It's interesting. So if you're really hitting CB1 hard and he's really, really active, which is what happens this is normally when your body's under inflammation, right? You've got this kind of going on. Your body's trying to inflame and kind of fight this stuff off. Turmeric has something in it called curcumin, okay? Yep. Curcumin is it doesn't really hit the neuroreceptor directly, but what it does is it something called reverse agonizes it. So it kind of calms him down. So, he's not as active, right?
Right.
So, that is direct action, endocannabinoid action by, herbs. So why do herbs work? Well, herbs work because they affect the endocannabinoid system, just like cannabis.
That's what it is. Like you said at the beginning of the show, before in the 1900s, the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, there was no pharma. It was just people who are studying natural remedies, the plants that are out there to help. Like you're saying, turmeric, sage, basil, lavender, there's all these natural products that are growing that help so many different ailments that we suffer from, I actually I was talking with a nurse. This was a medical nurse, went to medical school, and she's a nurse. And she tried arguing with me, saying that there is no medicinal benefits to cannabis. And I was like, whoa, what school did you go to? Like, this is what's wrong with medical school, because you're believing whatever they tell you. You being a medical professional need to actually study medicine that's out there. There's a lot of medicinal. She was like, there's nothing to. I was like, we're talking about a guy who was 28 years old, stage 4 cancer, and she was telling me cannabis doesn't help cancer. I was like, oh.
This is an educational. I think this is an educational moment. And again, I'm going to educate you guys. You guys go educate your doctors, okay? Right. Because I want to really. This is important because there's lots of research. Okay, there's lots of research on the endocannabinoid system. There's lots of research on how things can impact it. A lot. Hundreds and thousands of studies, okay?
Right.
But let me tell you what happens with doctors. First of all, they're not educated on it. So as soon as you say endocannabinoid, they think you're a quack. You're trying to seriously. I deal with this every day. Believe me, you're a quack, Chip. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to prove it.
Right here. Here it is. Let me show you.
Yeah. Open your mind a little. So they're not taught about it. So it's not taught in any medical schools right now.
Right.
It's literally only taught at one major university, University of Maryland, as a master's level class. That's changing. So our guy at University of Mississippi, who's director of curriculum for the pharmacy school, is getting ready to put it in their curriculum, our model, which is kind of cool. But and that'll happen in 2023 probably, somewhere around there, right? So as that begins to get an education, they'll be educated about it. But right now, they're not. And what doctors do, when they look at research, they go to FDA research, right? So they're looking at drugs. No, this is what they do, right? So they're looking at drugs. So if it's not in their PDR, it doesn't exist. If it's not a drug, it doesn't exist. And so I'm going to go look at the research on that drug. And guess what? By virtue of it being a drug, there's a phase 1 clinical study, there's a phase 2 clinical study, there's a phase 3 clinical study, there's an IND filing, right? Okay, so all that's there for all the drugs. But guess what, guys? Cannabis is not a drug and can never be, because in order to participate in being a drug, you have to walk to the FDA and say, I want to study this. I want to file an investigative new drug, form, so I can go take it up clinical study. And they'll go, no, Chip, it's, get your bag of money out of here. That doesn't matter. It's federally illegal. It can't go.
And so, and you're absolutely right. I mean, we're in America. I got a lot of people listening to the show across the world, and I appreciate you guys listening from across the pond, everywhere you're at, in all the countries, out in France, England, all over the world. I got people listening in, and I appreciate you guys listening to the show, understanding why I advocate so strong for cannabis. At least in America, it's still federally illegal. In your countries, it may not be, and you guys are ridiculous for it being illegal still, But I actually have a brother, Brian Buckley, with Hellman Valley Grow Company. He has actually already began a multi-million-dollar research project on cannabis, because his fight for legalization was to say, he's already talked to senators and say, I want this legal. Like, we need this. My brothers need this medicine. Like, we need to have this. And they said, you got to show us numbers. So like in the paper I gave you, the green paper from the Veteran Action Council.
Yep.
Israel has been doing studies on this for how long, right? You're already aware of all
by the
studies.
way, with your money, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what he's done. He's actually teamed up with some doctors from Israel, and he's in California, in San Diego right now, performing a multi-million-dollar research project on cannabis, so he can provide. And with his research project, he's actually going to break it down to where it will be strain specific for what you're suffering from: anxiety, depression, sleep. Yep. He's actually making it to where you can go in there and say, I need this strain because I'm having trouble with this. I want this strain because I'm having trouble with this. And he's breaking it down for everybody who goes in to be able to buy it, to be like, this is what this helps with. Versus going into a dispensary. You go in a dispensary now, they're like, oh, yeah, this tastes great. Oh, this made me feel good. Oh, this has got this much THC. Dude, where's your CBD flower? I need some CBD flower to go with your THC so I can make sure that I get the medicine I need,
What you're saying is so important. Cannabis, if you just look at THC, so let's, if you look at just the constituents, right? So let's say you're just doing straight dabs. Again, that's going to help your body do work. But it's going to affect your body all over your body, right? And again, if I have something wrong with me, I kind of want something that's going to help whatever the hell's wrong with me, right? So, I don't want to affect, I don't want to, again, I'd like a nice head effect, but if I've got RA, I want my to quit hurting. If my head gets helped in the process, great, but I want to quit hurting, right? And so THC will affect us all over, right? So it's it gets in our blood system, it kind of goes to every cell, if you will, or kind of all over our body, right? When we take it in, when we smoke it or eat it or whatever. Plants, herbs like to be specific, which is really cool, so if you have like milk thistle, milk thistle wants to help, inflammation of your liver, right? You have turmeric, it's, good gut brain. So, herbs like to be more specific. So how do you get cannabis to be specific? Well, one way is just to combine it with herbs. That kind of is easy. Right. But the other way is to really pay attention to the minors and also the terpenes. And so terpenes will be what gives cannabis really its specificity. So like something that's heavy and
absolutely no, bro. This is what I've been talking about to all my fans listening and stuff. This is one thing I tell you guys: terpenes. Yeah. This is what I tell you guys all the time: is that when you go to get your flower, what terpenes are in it? Because the terpenes is what's going to give you the effects of the flower, how you feel. Does it bring anxiety out? Well, what terpenes were in it? Does your depression act up? What terpenes were in it? Are you inflamed? What terpenes are in it? And like you're saying, Chip, terpenes are a huge factor when it comes to smoking cannabis, that a lot of people don't even take a second thought to, like, oh, I don't know what terpenes are in it. Well, did you look at the report? Because in Oklahoma, you're required to have testing to show what's in the plant, so that hey, this is what helps me, and this I can't smoke this because it's too high in this. Yeah. So that in regards to terpenes, go ahead and tell people about the importance of why terpenes are so important when you're smoking cannabis.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, I can tell you sort of anecdotal evidence. So I can give you a tincture, like a cannabis tincture. Let's say it's 25 milligrams of THC in some kind of oil. Sorry, my dogs. And again, just tinctures for whatever reason aren't as strong as smoking, right? So you'll feel that tincture and you'll feel it at 25 milligrams. If I put 5% linalool in it, oh my gosh, will that make a difference?
Right.
It'll be like, well, I'm kind of tired and I feel pretty good. And I definitely, guns could be going off and you wouldn't even react, right? So it's almost that, much of anti-anxiety. So terpenes are super important to how cannabis works, and how it used to, early thinking was CB1, CB2, and kind of CBD content, THC content. So all THC would be at the sativa end of the spectrum, and all CBD would be at the indica end of the spectrum, and that's kind of how the plant was characterized. Well, no, it's a lot more than that.
Right.
So the terpenes really modify, everything that goes on in kind of that spectrum. And so, just to run down a few of them real quick, something like linalool, all right? So linalool is in cannabis, and it's a prevalent terpene in cannabis. It's going to be super anti-anxiety, right? So it's going to be your couch locky strains, it's going to be your chill strains. It's going to be good strains for a lot of veterans, certainly veterans that are struggling with PTSD and things like that, or sleep or anxiety. Very, very good strains. So look for a lot of linalool. The other thing, and linalool hits, it doesn't hit anything in the endocannabinoid channel. Seriously, it actually hits something in the GABA channel, and it hits GABA A, which is called your benzo receptor, okay, because it's what benzos hit. But again, this is a way to hit it safe, natural, and not addictive, okay?
Right.
So alpha pinene, same thing, hits the same receptor. So again, it's something that, that strain that smells a lot like pine, ooh, yummy. That's going to be nice and down regulating. Okay, the more citrus strains, so limonene and myrcene, those terpenes will really help with like inflammation. They're really good anti-inflammatories. They're also uppity. They're kind of energetic. Myrcene kind of goes both ways. It depends on what it's paired with. Right. Something like a humulene, super duper, good down regulating, very good for pain, hits CB2, hard. There's stuff in humulene is kind of an activator of CB2. Beta caryophyllene, one of my favorite terpenes, because I have it patented. But, again, just defense against pharma. So it's, you guys go to town. But beta caryophyllene is great, for anti-inflammatory, pain relief, all of that. So when you look at specificity, and certainly if you're smoking cannabis, you want to kind of look at those terpenes. If you're using vape carts and stuff like that, try to find a vape cart that potentially is a THC cart. Again, you don't want all THC, right? That's just going to kind of not do the right thing. It'll be nice for your head, maybe. The other thing about all THC too, it's really not that nice for your head, because you do this, whoop, whoop, right?
No,
I mean, if you're a dabber or whatever, you got to dab, and then 30 minutes later, you got to dab again, and then 30 minutes later, you got to dab again, and then, you sleep good and eat well, when you're coming down. But, that's not really a medicinal profile, right? So that's more of a fun profile, which is fine. But the terpenes, so, if you're a vet out there and you're looking for a real down-regulating, kind of relaxing experience, try to find a cart that's got rosin in it, live rosin, okay? Because that's more natural. And then look for linalool. Look for a lot of linalool or alpha pinene or things like that. Now, if you're depressed, right, you're depressive, and what's the difference? The anxious people are like me. I'm tweaky, and, if I smoke a sativa, I'm going to, but I'm not going to shoot myself, right? I'm going to, have a bad day. But depressives are like Eeyore, right? So, the sun will never come up, and it's just another horrible day, right? And depressives, you don't want to kind of send them the wrong way, because they will kind of suicide out on you. So again, uppity strains like sativas, and limonene and myrcene and things like that, uppity type terpenes are good mood uplifters. So they'll really help you, if you're depressive. And I think for really, again, I'm biased. I mean, I, do this every day for a living. So but I really think, when you get into more specific things, like if you're looking at something like autism, if you're looking at something like rheumatoid arthritis, if you're looking at something like, genetic type diseases, you're going to be better off. You could certainly, cannabis helps and will help kind of regulate your body and help it do work, but you need to kind of right that wrong in your body or right that dysregulation. And a lot of times that's frankly better done with fats and herbs, right?
No,
So
absolutely. Not too long ago, I just had a girl, Jamie. She's an Air Force veteran, and her son was born with the CF, cystic
yeah,
fibrosis.
yeah,
And she said at 5 years old, the medication that the doctors were giving him was causing him liver failure.
yeah,
At 5 years old, and she's like, I'm not doing this. So
yeah,
she turned to CBD and found out that limonene, how good it is for the liver. And she's just been feeding. She actually just wrote a book about superfoods, like the fats that you're talking about, the plant-based diets, and how you're talking about like the hibernations. Your body needs this, your body needs this, your body needs this. And we're not providing it to our body because it's so much easier just to go to freaking McDonald's and pick up a freaking Big Mac, or,
yeah,
it's so much more easier than to actually prep our meals to get it to eat healthier, right? But that's one of the things that she did. She's been studying, like, and that's what I tell you guys that are listening to this show, is that you have to. I'm bringing advocates like Chip himself here, telling you, look, dude, there's medicinal benefits. There's the medicinal benefits, but it's like I tell everybody, do your own research, because you have to figure out what works for you. I can tell you all these things. Chip can tell you all these things. But if he hasn't sat down and talked with you and found out what you're suffering from, he can't help you. He can just tell you, this helps with this helps with this helps with that. But until you sit down with somebody that actually has been studying this is just information that we're giving you for free, so you can go and do your own research and say, well, I suffer from this. Let me go look to what he was speaking about and see there's something else that can help with what I'm suffering from, because like I said, my wife herself, I mean, working with Rafa 180, she's been in the hemp business for 10 years now. And that's what she does, is like you, Chip, study,
yeah,
because you're always getting new people coming in with different ailments. And you're like, oh, let me do some research on this and see where I could steer you more towards. Look at these natural healings like the turmeric and the curcumin and the sage and the basils and lavenders and stuff like that. Let me show you, this will help with this. You can
yeah.
incorporate this into your diet and so we can help get you off the pharmaceuticals, get you off the medications and stuff like that.
We would like to give a huge thanks to Rafa 180. Rafa 180 offers pure medicinal CBD and products made locally. They walk alongside individuals to achieve a healthy lifestyle with options needed by each person. You can learn more about them on Facebook at Rafa CBD, their website www.rafa180.com, or email at rafacbd@gmail.com. They truly believe your journey matters.
Yeah, and let's talk through, just a different sort of, I guess, angle, on diet or aspect of diet. But, something that I think a lot of vets, suffer from are just mental things, right? So
Right.
anxiety or depression or just, sort of things that are more mental. So let's talk that through real quick. So how does that work? Well, basically everything you need to regulate your body, okay, so to control your body's actions, upregulate, downregulate organs, and all that comes from a triglyceride. So you can get in the middle of that with herbs, you can get in the middle of that with cannabinoids and things like that. But the chemicals that we need to run our mind really come from our guts, okay? So we manufacture really three main big master precursors in our guts called tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine. And dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, epinephrine, all of those come from basically breakdowns of those chemicals. Right. So again, how does that work? Well, how does this bacteria in our gut work? Well, it's again directly related to diet, right? So if we're eating a bunch of sugar, potentially we're gonna have a bunch of bad bacteria, and you're not gonna make the right brain chemicals to be able to fuel a mood or fuel a response. And so a lot of us do this, right?
Right.
And again, certainly if we've been through, if you go through a war, if you've been through a lot of trauma, what happens is you deplete all those brain chemicals, right? So you'll burn through because it's fight or flight. So you'll burn through all your serotonin and dopamine and, adrenaline, right?
Well, absolutely. That's one of the things we do suffer from, like you said, especially this generation now with OIF and OEF ending, that's when I was talking with Johnny Momidi over at Straight Talk podcast, and he was talking about like that's some of the things that a lot of people suffer from is that adrenaline. You always got adrenaline running all the way, and then when it stops, it's like, what's wrong with me? Why do I not feel right?
Exactly. Right? And it's kind of, you get used to that. Let me just talk this through a little bit more because I think it's really cool. And so, let's say you're in a war situation. So you're depleting all the dopamine and serotonin and adrenaline all the time with fight or flight, right? How are you replenishing that? The mess hall?
Right.
MREs? God, so that's one thing, right? But you kind of get stuck in a pattern, and we'll talk about that in a second. But a lot of us, or a lot of you guys, I'm not one of you, but again, I have suffered from this type of thing because of diet, right? So again, if you're not eating the right stuff, to basically build, these chemicals that we need in our body, we're not going to be able to generate the right chemicals. So we're going to do this. Okay, very easy to fix that. So cannabis kind of helps fix that and rewrite this. Something like a turmeric, is really good for sort of replenishing those brain chemicals. But we should sort of operate in a tighter band, right? So should we again, are we going to get depressed? Yeah. Are we going to get pissed? Yeah. Are we going to get, yeah. But it should be up here and it shouldn't wreck us. Right. Like it does, now. Okay, so that, again, we can fix this and get this up here, right, in a tight little band with what we do at GNU PHARMA and, what you do at the dispensary, right? So you can kind of limonene and all that is really good for serotonin and kind of helping all that. But if you have PTSD, what happens is I can get you right here, okay? Whoosh! And now you're back. And now you're back.
Up and down, up and down, right?
Okay?
Yeah.
So how you reset whatever that trigger is, psilocybin. Very good way to do that.
That's what I've been. So this is one of the things is that I've been studying myself. I've been experimenting myself with psilocybin because the research that has been done on this stuff is showing how it actually helps the brain get back to how it used to be, right?
Yep.
And that's definitely one of the things I wanted to speak with you about, since this is what you do. This is your wheelhouse. You educate people on medicinal benefits of natural remedies. And this, again, is a natural remedy that we can just grow, right? So what is your take on psilocybin and how it helps with the brain function and stuff like that?
So it's psilocybin, again, like just, psilocybin's a plant, it's a mushroom, right? So it's a natural product. Again, most natural products will have an active in them, so like turmeric has a bunch of stuff. Curcumin is the one we most know about. Cannabis has a bunch of stuff. We know about THC and CBD. So what is it in psilocybin or psilocybin mushroom? It's something called psilocin, okay? And psilocin is a direct serotonin mimic, okay? So when you take mushrooms, you're basically giving your body all this additional serotonin to kind of run your mind. It also it does the exact same thing an SSRI inhibitor does. So it inhibits the uptake of serotonin. So again, you've got serotonin active and kind of doing work in your serotonin system that normally is controlled by something called hydrolase. Well, SSRIs stop that hydrolase. So you've just got work being done and you've got all this additional serotonin. It's just like giving THC to your endocannabinoid system, okay? Right. So you're going to do a lot more work in kind of that micro system, if you will, that has to do with your mind. But the SSRI and the activeness is probably, what causes the hallucinogenic, aspects, if you will. Right. But the hallucinogenic aspects, again, when that happens, what appears to happen, and there's pretty good clinical research on this, most doctors do know about this for whatever reason, the John Hopkins study and all. They're a lot more open to psilocybin for whatever reason than they are to cannabis. A lot of them.
Figure that, right?
Yeah, go figure. But anyway, what appears to happen is, we sort of have these pathways of how we deal with things. That's my wife, Cynthia, by the way. But we also have these pathways in our minds of how we kind of deal with things. And so in a PTSD situation, we hear a bang and we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to kind of send us into this thing. Right. Well, psilocybin, when we hallucinate, we appear to create these new kind of pathways, and those new pathways are what are used in new trauma events, right? And so we kind of route around our old trauma pathways, if you will. which appears to happen. But it's extremely valuable for people who have, again, if you're depressed, I can help you, right? So I can help you you can help yourself. Turmeric and black pepper is going to help you a lot, right? So, if you have anxiety, again, we can help you. And, just a lot of things will help anxiety, beta carotene. But if you have PTSD, again, I can help you normally. But again, when that trigger happens, you've got to have a way to kind of reroute things in your mind, and that appears to be what almost all hallucinogens do. That, frankly.
Yeah. And so for me, like I said, I've been using for a couple of weeks now, and I haven't gotten the hallucinations. Like a lot of people like, man, I was tripping. And I was like, I've probably eaten like 10 grams, and but I get the body high. I get the
Yeah.
And then I'm good for a couple of days. Like I'm good for a couple of days. Like I'm not angry and just mad at the world. I'm actually just like chill for a couple of days, And my family has been seeing it. So, what I'm saying? I'm a 2-time war veteran. There's crap that happens in my head and I just snap, I'll just snap on everybody around me. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It sucks because that's just something that we all us veterans suffer from, is that like you said, just a snap and boom, everything's bad, And for me, I mean, it sucks because because that's how cannabis helped me when I was using cannabis. It would actually help calm me down. I was able to smoke it throughout the day and just be able, when I felt something coming on, I'm like, I'm going to go smoke so I can just try to keep it back, And so for me, I haven't got the benefit. Everybody's like, you have to. It's just amazing, I was like, I just can't do it. Like for whatever reason, I don't get the hallucinations, but I get the
Now, if you're taking 10 grams and not hallucinating.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, you are screwed up in the head. My sister told me, she does it too. And she's like, you're just screwed up in the head. There's something wrong.
Yeah, that's unusual.
I was like, you know what? But I get the relaxation. I get the high. I get it feels like a weight is taken off your chest. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, it feels so
you're
good.
Getting minimally, you're getting the microdose benefits.
Right.
And the microdose benefits are super duper good. And it's interesting how different people react.
Right.
I've taken them and tripped a couple of times, but I don't like feeling out of control.
Right. And I don't either because that's the biggest thing. This is what I tell my fans that listen to it, is that it's not about getting high. It truly is not about getting high. It's about understanding how to microdose and how to help you function on a regular basis every day, because we all have lives. We have to take care of our kids. We have to go to work. We have to pay the bills. We have lives we have to do. We can't just be high all the time.
Right, and the doing them, and doing it to trip, which kind of does help reset everything. That is not something to be done lightly. Right. That is something to be done seriously. Having somebody to guide you, through that is pretty important. Having people around you that you love is pretty important. It's super safe. It's safer than cannabis, really. Although I don't know how that can be, because cannabis is, safe, right?
Right.
Yeah, but they always say, oh, it's safer than cannabis. But it does, you go on a kind of an adventure of the mind and that can potentially, be. It goes all different ways. I mean, literally, you can be having a great time and go to the bathroom and, come back and be, dwelling on some thought that'll send you another direction, right? Which is
absolutely. Yeah. And for me, when I since I've been using the psilocybin, like when it first takes effect, I get the anxiety real bad in the chest, like real anxious, like, and then within 5 minutes that goes away, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's gone. Okay, now I can relax. Which I mean, but it's like edibles. With any edible, whether it's cannabis or whatever, everybody's body, it affects them differently.
Yeah,
and
which
so,
is a
like,
problem.
It is. It really is a problem. Because you're like, this guy got a nice trip, and this guy, he didn't get anything out of it. And you're just like, it's just crazy. But it's like you said, with the fats and everything, your diet, who you are as your chemical makeup. Everybody's chemical makeup is different, and so it affects people. Everything affects them differently. But this is what I tell people: you have to try it so you know where you can go. You know how much. Okay, it took me this much last time. This is how much I need to start with, and then that's how you start learning how to microdose and how to use your medicine on a regular basis.
It says, mushrooms are not even where cannabis is, right? And cannabis is not in a perfect place. I mean, if you look at, and there's good things that pharma has done, let's say. So certainly, being able to consistently dose a medication is a huge deal. Do we have that in cannabis? No. I mean, we're going to react to a gummy completely differently.
Completely
But
different.
one thing that we do at our company is we're trying to work on that problem. And so what we do is we've made tablets, and again, they're made like any pharma, medicine, with the same excipients and all that. So they're really consistent absorption. So again, if I put a distillate, in a tablet, you and I are going to absorb that pretty consistently. There's a little bit of differentiation whether you've eaten or not and things like that.
Of course.
But then what we've done in tinctures is we've gone to water soluble. And again, water soluble, if you do it right and you get the droplets small enough, and we just patented a new method to do that, which is kind of cool. And it's really cool. It's the coolest way to do it. The University of Mississippi loves it. He goes, wow. He goes, that's
no, because you did
cool.
you as New Pharma. So a lot of people don't know this. You guys that have been listening for us for a while now, you guys don't understand. New Pharma is actually licensed and contracted to the University of Mississippi. So if you guys are big Mississippi Bulldog fans, there you go, right here. Here you go. Here's an Oklahoman that's working with the University of Mississippi.
I'm an OU graduate. I tried to work with OU first. Yeah,
but they don't want to, dude. It's not. Yeah, whatever, But I mean, what you're doing though with your contract with the university, allow people to understand why the importance of that contract and why it's important for New Pharma. Go ahead and let people understand so they know how to find you and stuff.
Yeah, and I'll kind of explain the relationship. So again, most of the time, when let's say you're a company and you say, oh gosh, I know, Professor XYZ who's at University XYZ, he's doing some interesting stuff, and maybe I can commercialize it and make some money on it, right?
Right.
So you call up the university and you go, hey, I'm want to work with Professor XYZ, and they say you need to talk to our tech transfer office, right? And so then you go through hell with contracts and patents and blah 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 blah, and then you get to work with Professor XYZ and you take his stuff and go make money. That's not. I wish I knew more about business to be able to take things and take chip stuff and go make money with it. That's not what I do. So I'm more of a researcher and forensic guy. But anyway, so our relationship with the University of Mississippi is a little different. So again, we have a direct relationship with a researcher there named Dr. David Colby. And Dr. Colby and I have worked together since 2016. We have a relationship with the University of Mississippi with the Tech Transfer Office, but it's a sharing of intellectual property. So again, they want what I have, okay? We have shared intellectual property on an endocannabinoid test, a diagnostic test. So there is no clinical diagnostic test right now to test your endocannabinoid system. So I share that intellectual property with Dr. Colby, and then that tech, if you will, and it lives in their tech transfer office. They'll help finish the patent, which is great for me.
You don't have to do all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But now we're, since we're starting to write grants with them, and it's good for me. I don't have a PhD or MD or anything, but now I'm principal investigator on some grants where there's PhDs and under me on the grants, so to speak, very weighty PhDs. So that kind of gives me my 3-letter cred, if you will, if needed. But so we're writing grants with them. So we have it's a deep relationship. But it's when you work with a university, it's you're usually working with their tech transfer office, and it's all about kind of the contracts and relationships that you have with that tech transfer office. Our relationship is so good I'll tell you a funny story with the University of Mississippi's tech transfer. So we wrote a grant pitch for the NSF. So again, if you get it accepted by the NSF, it's a great thing, and that's a good place to be. So we get our pitch accepted by the NSF on this project, and so we have to run that by tech transfer because we're doing it together. Tech transfer says, Dr. Colby and Chip, we're going to recommend that you go to these business accelerator classes so you don't screw this up. But we did, yeah, we went to this University of Kentucky's Force School of Business, business accelerator, so we won't screw it up. But anyway, it's kind of funny. So we have a really good relationship with them. We used to not even be able to talk about it. Shh, can't mention it. They are very concerned about, their NIDA contract, National Institute of Drug Abuse. They've been growing medical marijuana for research since 1968.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, people have been growing this. Like, the government has been doing this. I mean, they just opened
one place, just them.
And so, I mean, the government has patents on cannabis, dude. Like, I mean, a lot of people.
The government. It's interesting. The government has a patent on cannabis. It's a 1994, I think, maybe, but right. You can find it. But it's for Parkinson's and other neurological diseases, which is interesting. Come on, guys.
What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Oh man, absolutely, man. And so, I mean, but this has been great, Chip. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to come in here and help people understand the medicinal benefits of natural products that are out there. Like you said, it's not just cannabis, it's not just psilocybin, there are like natural things out there that can help treat various ailments that we suffer from. You don't have to, if you're not a cannabis smoker, that's okay, but there's things out there that will help with your endocannabinoid system. It's not just cannabis,
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, with everything that you're doing, in the community, a lot of people, what I'm saying, this is what I love doing, is being able to network and meet great people that are advocating, that are like, dude, no, this is at a point, like you guys that are listening across the pond, you guys already see where fucking America's going. It's not a pretty place right now. And so, but this is what we have to do as Americans, is advocate and fight for what we believe in right now, because Absolutely. If not, they're going to take it away from us. And then what? What are we going to be? We're going to be stuck with that,
And it doesn't matter what job you have. It doesn't matter what your church is. It doesn't, if we don't fight now, we won't have a church. We won't have a place. Right. We'll all work for the man. So. I don't want to do that.
And it will suck, man. It absolutely suck. Because like I said, we are in the land of the free. We are in the greatest country in the world. Everybody knows it. America is the greatest country in the world. But it's
your brothers and sisters in Australia too right now.
Right.
Our hearts and minds are with you. That's a tough place to be. So
absolutely, right now, especially, what I'm saying. But that's why people are like, man, America is a great place. But it's like they say, though, we're great because we stand up for what we believe in, and we don't have to face judgment from our own government saying you can't do that.
We also have our second.
Absolutely.
Come and take
it. So we get close to the end of the show, Chip. What kind of last minute words of advice? Tell people how they can reach you, how they can find you, and just give people hope and insight. Like, hey, dude, you can do this, and you're willing. You can find it. You can find the information.
Yeah, so we're www.GNUPHARMA.com, but it's GNUPHARMA.com, and you can find our products at TrueMedix.com, TRUEMEDX.com. But I would just say, there's great hope here. So I kind of sit in a unique chair, and I'm an activist too on the kind of marijuana side, which we really talk about. But on the science side, I know what's coming, guys. and again, pharma's going to break. Right. Pharma's going to break under the weight of these vaccines. Pharma's going to break in a lot of different ways, and that's good because we kind of worship this, false prophet, if you will, of pharma. Right. And we need to really get back to what God gave us. And God gave us abundance. I mean, within a square mile of, it really doesn't matter where you're sitting, unless you're in New York City or something. But if you're out in the country, within a square mile of you, you have everything you need to heal you. Everything you need to heal you. So it's just education. And again, follow us or, follow you or, we're right. Spreading the word, right? But find people who are spreading the word that are, doing that in a good way. And again, we're going to change medicine, and that is what is coming. So you have great power over your health. You don't have to go to the doctor to get fixed. You don't have to bow to the God of pharma. You can bow to the God of nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. Like I tell you guys, man, I'm gonna have all of Chip's information down there in that description box down below where you can reach him. You can reach some of his amazing medicines that he's making, natural remedies to help. Like if you're against cannabis but you want to try natural remedies, like I said, I'll have his website and everything down below so you can go check out what he's doing. And maybe here before too long, I'll pitch him a sponsorship program and we get some sponsorship program going.
That'd be cool, man.
Because this is what it's about. This is what it's about, is helping each other and helping each other. Like I said, you guys have to advocate for what you believe in. I don't care what it is. It don't have to be cannabis, but whatever you believe in, if you feel as though your rights are being pressured, stand up and fight and say something. Because if you don't, nobody else is going to do it, right?
Oh, be gone.
It's like I tell people, if you're looking up at the stars, ain't nobody going to look up the stars with you. But if your buddy and his buddy come and all three of y'all looking up at the stars, guess what? More people are going to start looking up towards the sky to see what you guys are looking at. It's the same thing with advocacy. When you have more people, like I said, Chip's not a vet, but he's standing next to me. And he's bringing his people, and I'm bringing my people. So guess what? There's more advocates. And here in Oklahoma, if you guys don't understand how passionate we are about anything in Oklahoma, you guys are missing out, because we're making headway in everything across the country. Because when you say Oklahoma, people across the country are like, oh, yeah, they're doing it right. They know what they're doing. They're fighting for what they believe in. That's who we are, and that's what we do, man. Chip, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come hang out with me and help educate my family on medicinal, natural remedies that are out there, dude. This is just amazing what you're doing. Like I said, I really look forward to working with you more and more. Like, our paths have crossed, and now we're part of family now. Now we're in this fight together to help each other in any way we can, man. Appreciate you hanging out with me, guys. Remember, guys, you are very important to me, not just to me, but everybody around you. Whenever you think life is getting too hard, suck it up, dude. It's time to stand up and believe what you believe in, man. Your family around you needs you. You are important. You're the only one that can do what you can do. Nobody else can do it, man. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening to me and Chip talk about this amazing products that are out there that help us treat our ailments that we suffer from serving our country, man. Remember, guys, here at the Stone Vet, we got your six.
Dressed in camo with ammo for every situation I handle. They got us marching and stepping by my platoon, you get trampled. If it ain't raining, we ain't training. Nothing changed by complaining. I adapt and overcome. I make the best out of situations. I stay alert for my enemies trying to do me some harm. I fight for your freedom of speech and your right to bear arms. When I say I got your six, that means I got your back. But what else would you expect coming from the Stone Vet?